Yep. Okay, thank you. Just wanted you to see there's many different opportunities that are available, especially there's opportunities all over the world, but especially in Africa. My family in 2009, 2010, I took a sabbatical from teaching at Byron Center High School, and we went and worked with GMI. In Zambia specifically, the Moyer family went to Zambia with Kennedy Simtoa in the late 1990s and started a grace work within Zambia. And I don't know if you know the Moyers and Kennedy. They're visionaries, they're movers and shakers, and they sort of came into Zambia like a whirlwind, started building a Bible school, started building churches and getting things going. By time 2010, when we arrived, it was there were probably 4 different missionary families that were there when we were there. And it was probably the best year of my family's life. I think every single one of us will say that that year has impacted us significantly. But it was also a soft landing because we had so much support, so many other missionaries were there. We were given the opportunity to just jump in to do ministry that was within our strengths. But then about a year after we left, for different reasons, and none were really negative, all the missionary families left within Zambia. And they were left pretty much with the national church. And there was this passing of the torch of leadership where there was about a decade of building up the church and teaching and training. And then it was time for the national church to sort of stand on its own. And if we're honest about what was happening, the leadership that was there was fairly corrupt. There was some assets with some money, that buildings and rentals, and it really was a point where the leadership was just holding on to the money, and not much ministry was happening with the churches. The people within the grace churches were very frustrated because of the lack of leadership that was happening. And it was frustration for GMI and for everyone, because there were so many good people in Zambia, so many people within the churches that loved the Lord, but yet the leadership seemed to be more interested in finances than they were actually in ministry. And it was about a year and a half ago. I've been to Zambia almost every summer. I go back with teachers and doing teacher training. But for some reason, the Lord put on my heart to go back to Zambia and to do something in leadership training. And, you know, I'm probably a lot like you. I think Americans are pretty similar. We're pretty analytical, like to think things through. We make decisions based on facts. Very seldom, for my own life, I struggle with the fact that I should be led by the Spirit more often than I am. I usually, if it makes sense in my mind, then I usually do it. But for some reason, this didn't make sense why I should go to Africa for last summer, because the leadership didn't really seem to be interested in ministry, and I felt the Lord was impressing on my heart to do something with the leadership training that was there. So I emailed the national leaders and say, hey, can I come and do some training? And they were fine. Yes, come on and come. And I just wasn't quite sure how this was going to work. And then from the time that I asked to come, and it was time for me to come, there was a great movement within Zambia, where the national
that I asked to come,
and the elders
and it was time for me to come, there was a great movement within Zambia, where the national
that I asked to come,
and the elders, and it was time for me to come, there was a great movement within Zambia, where the
that I asked to come,
the elders, and it was time for me to come, there was a great movement within Zambia, where
power. And, you know, traditionally, you just don't let go of a position of power. You don't do it peacefully anyway. But the churches and the people within the churches they were wanting change. They were wanting ministry to start happening in the churches, and they wanted it to be real and significant. And it was a major impact that they were able to organize together and basically had a church conference, national church conference, and says, we are done with this. And they
okay, thank you.
out the old leadership. And
Just wanted you to see
So
there's
this
many
was in the
different
middle
opportunities
of
that are
when I've already got
available,
my ticket, I'm
especially,
already
there's
going, so
opportunities
there's a
all over the
new
world, but
church
especially in
leader, his name
Africa.
Crispin,
My family
and
in
I asked him, I
2009,
said, hey,
2010,
I was planning
I
on
took a
coming,
sabbatical
still
from
come and
teaching
do
at Byron Center High
some
School,
leadership
and we
training.
went and worked
He says,
with
yes, you're
GMI.
welcome, we'd love to
In
have you.
Zambia specifically,
When he,
the
in my
Moyer
mind, I was just
family
gonna meet
went to
with like 4
Zambia
or
with
5
Kennedy
leaders for like a
Simtola
week, and
in
we'd
the
just have
late
some meetings and
1990s
the
and
idea,
started
well,
a
what are
grace work
where's Grace
within
Church gonna
Zambia.
head in
And I
Zambia?
don't know
What's
if you know the
direction we
Moyers
wanna
in
go?
Kennedy, they're
And I told
visionaries,
the
they're
chairman,
movers
I
and
said,
shakers,
you know,
and
go ahead and
they
invite
sort
a
of
couple
came
of people that you
into
wanna,
Zambia like a whirlwind,
invite some
started
people that you
building a
trust,
Bible
and,
school, started building
next
churches
thing I
and
know, I call him up on
things
the
going.
phone.
By
And,
time
he's like,
2010,
"Yep, we got
when
50
we
people
arrived,
coming."
it was
I'm like, 50 people? What are
there
you
were probably
talking
4
about?
different
You know, I was
missionary
expecting like
families that were
5.
there when we
And
were
he's
there.
like, "Nope,
And it
we
was probably
invited
the
every
best
pastor from
year
every
of my
church,
family's
and
life.
we
I think
invited
every
every
single one
elder
of us
and
will
any key
say
leaders.
that
And
that
they were
year
all
has
coming to
impacted
this
us
meeting.
significantly.
And then, so
But it was
became
also
very
a soft
clear
landing
for me
because
and
we had
very
so much
peace
support, so many
within
other
my
missionaries were
spirit
there. We were
that
given the
this
opportunity to
church
just
needs
jump in to
direction.
do
They
ministry
need
that was
a
within
purpose
our
to
strengths.
why they exist. They need a future.
But then about a year
And so what
after
did,
we
there was-
left,
there was a book
for
called
different
Visioneering.
reasons, and none
I went to
were
Ken
really
Kipler, the president of
negative,
Grace Bible
all the
College.
missionary
I said, "What's
families
the
left
best book that
within
you've ever,
Zambia. And they
had
were
on
left
leadership
pretty
and
much with the
vision?"
national
He said,
church. And there
"Andy
was this
Stanley,
passing of the
Charles
torch of
Stanley's
leadership,
son,
where there was
who's
about a
pastor in Atlanta,
decade
said,
of
"Wrote a
building
book
up the
called
church and
Visioneering."
teaching and
And
training.
it was
And then it was
exactly
time for
what-
the national
what
churches
I needed
to
and
church
what
to
I
sort
felt
of
that the
stand
Lord
on its
wanted the
own.
people to hear.
And if we're
So
honest about what was
last
happening,
July, I went with
there
my-
was
a
the
team of
leadership
young
that
people
was
and
there
some
was
friends,
fairly
and,
corrupt.
Dale Day, who's an accountant,
There was some
a
some
Christian
assets
businessman
with
from Rush
some
Creek.
money, that
We
buildings
all
and
went to
rentals,
Zambia.
and it really
So
was a point where the
what
leadership
happened
was just holding on to the
is
money, and
that's
not much
the
ministry was
Grace
happening
Center,
with the churches. The
conference
great
room
the people
that
within
we
the
all
Grace
met, and like I
churches
said, probably
were
a total
very
of about 50
frustrated
people,
because of
pastors and elders
the
and
lack of
leaders.
leadership that
And
was
we were-
happening.
I told them
And it
right
was
away, no, the
frustration
African
for
culture is
GMI
very
and for
polite.
everyone, because there were so
And
many
even if
good
it
people
doesn't
in
mean the
Zambia,
truth,
so many people
you-
within the
you're
churches
just
that love the
all-
Lord,
to
but
say
yet the
no
leadership
in
seemed to be
African
more
culture is
interested
somewhat
in
offensive. Even
finances
if they
than
know
they
that
were
you're gonna
actually
say
in
no,
ministry.
you're supposed
And
to
it
say
was
it in
about
really
a
like,
year ago,
maybe
year and a
not,
half
we'll
ago.
see, you know, talking
I've been to
generalities.
Zambia almost every
And
summer. I go back
told
with
them, I said, "I got
teachers
3
and
days
doing
with you,
teacher training.
and we're gonna throw
But
the
for some
African
reason, the
culture right
Lord
out
put
the
on my
window.
heart to
And I'm
go
gonna
back
be
to
very
Zambia
blunt
and to
with
do
you,
something
and
in
we're gonna
leadership
talk,
training.
you know, basically
And,
man
you know,
to
I'm
man. We're
probably a
gonna
lot
talk,
like
we're gonna be
you. I
open
think
with
Americans
this.
are pretty similar.
And so the
We're pretty
idea is that
analytical, like to
there's
think
3
things
steps that
through.
wanted
We
to
make
take.
decisions
We wanted to
based on
start with the
facts.
core values
Very
of the
seldom,
church.
or
What-
for my own
national
life,
church,
I
what
struggle with
are
the
our
fact that I
core
should be
values?
led by
What
the
is
Spirit
it
more
that
often
if
than
you
I
take
am.
away
I
from
usually,
Grace
if
Church
it
in
makes sense in my
Zambia,
mind,
it
then
would
I
no
usually do
longer
it. But for
exist.
some reason,
And,
this
and
didn't
that's
make
where you-
sense
almost
why I
every
should go
ministry,
to
every-
Africa
you can do this
for
with
for
your
the
family, you
for
can do
last
this with
summer,
the work, you can do
because
this with the
the
ministry.
leadership
You
didn't
have
really
to
seem to
start
be
with your
interested
core
in
values.
ministry.
So this is when
And
we
I felt
started,
the Lord was
I
impressing
basically
on my
went
heart
through,
to do something
Charles
with the
Stanley in his
leadership
book goes through
training
the
that
book of
was there.
Nehemiah.
So I
And
emailed
Nehemiah
the
sort of
national
models
leaders
the
and
step
say, hey,
that
can I
we went
come and
through.
do
So I
some
explained
training?
what
And
core
they were
values were, and I
fine,
gave
yes,
examples
come on,
from
come.
businesses
And I
and
just wasn't
churches
quite
and
sure how this was
Frontline
gonna work.
and Grace Bible
And then
College, and
when
I
it
showed them
come
all
the
the
time that I
examples.
asked to
And then we
come,
got into our groups,
and it was
and
time
I was
for me to
nervous at
come,
this point, because
there
I was
was
like, you know, are they
a
really
great
getting it?
movement
Do they
within
really know
Zambia,
what
where
we're
the
talking
asked to
about?
come,
And they would ask
and
questions like,
it was
okay,
time
what
for
is
me to
core
come.
values again?
There
I'm like,
was
oh, okay, I
a
don't-
great
So I'm
movement
sitting
within
back, and
Zambia.
we're meeting
Where
for
the
about
I
an
asked
hour
to
and
come,
2 hours,
and
meeting
it was time for me to come,
Lord, I don't know how
there
to do this.
was
And
a
then it
great
came
movement
time
within
for
Zambia.
us to
And
come
where the
together.
I asked to come, and it was time for me to come, there was a great movement within Zambia. And
This is the point, is that we need to know what are the most important core values for Grace Church in Zambia. That means we need to get this list smaller, and all of them are good. But what really makes up Grace Church in Zambia?
They were wanting
And
change.
here's some pictures.
They were
but
wanting ministry to start happening.
These are
They wanted it.
These are the core
really
values that they came in.
significant.
And to be
And it
honest with you, I
was
almost
a
wanted to
major
cry
impact
when they
that they
came
were
back
able to
together and they were
organize
talking
together.
about this list. And
Basically had a
I
church
knew there was,
conference,
in
national
Africa,
church
it's all about
conference, and said,
ownership.
we
Do
are
you
done
own
with
the
this.
ministry?
And
And they were arguing
Okay,
with
thank
each
you.
other.
Just wanted you to see,
The emotions got high
so
about
there's many
what's
different
middle of
opportunities
Grace
that are
Church.
available.
And they came up with
There's
rightly
opportunities all over the
dividing
world,
the truth,
especially in
biblical
Africa.
understanding,
My family in 2009,
biblical
2010,
understanding,
I took a
family
sabbatical
spirit,
from teaching at
leadership
Ironton High
development,
School,
training,
and we went and
training
worked with
leaders,
VMI.
embracing
In
partnerships with
Zambia
other organizations,
specifically,
evangelism,
when the
financial
Moyer
accountability and
family went to
transparency
Zambia
was
with Kennedy
huge
Santoso Angola
within Africa.
in the late
The people in the
1990s.
churches should know
started
where
a
all
voice
the
for
money is
Grace
going
Church
from
Zambia.
within the
And
national
I don't know if you know the Moyers and
Community
Kennedys,
immersed
they're
in
visionaries,
prayer,
they're
faithfully
movers
serving
and
the local
shakers,
church.
and
Go ahead
and
and
they
tell you, I
came
could
into
not, if I could
Zambia
came
like a
up with
whirlwind,
what I
started
wanted their core
building
values
Bible
to be,
schools, started
I
building
couldn't
churches,
come up
and
with
getting
anything that was
all these
better
going.
than that.
By
And there was
time
just
2010,
ownership,
when we
there was
arrived,
passion
it was
when they were
probably
debating.
four
So
different
then,
missionary
that was one
families
day,
there
nothing,
when we were there.
8 long
It was
hours,
probably
of
the
nothing
best
but just talking
year
about
of
the
my
core
family's
values.
life. I think
And
every
then the
single
next
one of us
day,
will
it was
say
about
that year has
a mission
impacted us.
statement. And your mission statement is
But it was also a
what
soft
makes
landing because we had so much
who you are.
support. So many other missionaries
And
were there.
this was actually, even though this is just one sentence, it actually was almost harder than the core values. We struggled and we debated.
But then about a
and we
year
argued,
after we left,
I don't know if you
for
ever
different reasons, and none were really negative, all the missionary families
like
left.
the well was hidden in there or something.
And
all
they
of a
were
sudden
left
leadership,
pretty much
all of a
with the
sudden the well
national
pop out
church.
at
And there
you.
was this
I don't know if you know
passing
what I'm
of the
talking
torch
about,
of
but
leadership.
it was,
There was about a
we were just
decade of building up the
debating,
church,
arguing,
teaching and training.
just
And
struggling
then it was
with
time for
all
the
of a
national
sudden,
church,
we had a whole list of
church to
different
sort
things
of
that make
stand
up
on
Grace
its
Church in
own.
Zambia.
And if
And then
we're
we started
honest
putting a
about what
few
was
things
happening,
together,
there
and we
was,
started
the
imagining it like a
leadership that
puzzle,
was
and
there
it
was
wham, it's like, this is
fairly
it.
corrupt.
This is who we are. And
It was,
again, you
there
can see
was
the ownership
some
to
assets,
bring people to
some
Christ,
money,
and
that
develop
buildings
believers
and
in
rentals,
Christ, to
and
reach
it
people.
really
So
was
through
a
the
point
grace
where the
of God.
leadership was
There
just
was a lot
holding
of-
on to the
it's a
money,
simple
and
statement,
not
there
much
was a
ministry
lot of
was
faith and
happening with the
ownership that
churches,
went into that.
the
And then it
people
was
within
time
the
to
Grace
imagine.
churches were
And
very
the vision
frustrated
is,
because
where
of
does God want
the
you
lack
to
of
go
leadership that was
until
happening.
I told them
And it
when
was
we were in
frustration for
What
GMI
is
and
Grace
for
Church
everyone,
in
because there were
Zambia
so
gonna
many
look
good
like
people in
in the
Zambia, so many
future?
people within the
And
churches that
before
love the
we even
Lord.
started this,
But yet the leadership seemed to be more interested in finances than they were actually in ministry. And it was about a year ago, a year and a half ago. I've been to Zambia almost every summer. I go back to teach doing teacher training. For some reason, the Lord put on my heart to go back to Zambia and to do something in leadership training. And, I'm probably a lot like you. I think Americans are pretty similar. We're pretty analytical, like to think things through. We make decisions based on facts. Very seldom, for my own life, I struggle with the fact that I should be led by the Spirit more often than I am. I usually, if it makes sense in my mind, then I usually do it. But for some reason, this didn't make sense why I should go to Africa for last summer. Because the leadership didn't really seem to be interested in ministry. And the Lord was pressing on my heart
Grace Church in Zambia came up with
the leadership.
Now the challenge is that you need, this is what Nehemiah sort of modeled.
leaders
You
and
say
say,
that this
hey, can I
we
come
work
and
through.
do
So I
some
explained
training?
what core values were, and I gave examples from businesses and churches and Frontline and Grace Bible College, and I showed them all the examples. And then we got into our groups, and I was nervous at this point, because I was like, I don't know, are they really getting it? Do they really know what we're talking about? And they would ask questions like, okay, what is the core values again?
There was a great movement in Zambia
We're meeting
where the I asked to come, and it was time for me to come. There was a great movement within Zambia. And I asked to come, and it was time for me to come. There was a great movement within Zambia.
This is the point, is that we need to know what are the most important core values of Grace Church in Zambia. That means we need to get this list smaller, and all of them are good. But what really makes up Grace Church in Zambia? And organize some of the pictures.
Ministry to start happening.
These are the core values that they came in. And to be honest with you, I almost wanted to cry when they came back together and talking about this list. I knew there was, in Africa, it's all about ownership. Do you own the ministry? And they were arguing with each other. Just wanted you to see, emotions got high about many different opportunities. Grace Church, and they came up with right opportunities all over the world, especially biblical understanding.
My family in 2009, 2010,
family spirit, leadership development, training leaders, embracing part in Zambia, specifically evangelism, financial accountability, and transparency was huge within Africa.
late 1990s started where all the money is going from within the national. I don't know if you know the Moyers and Kennedys, they're visionaries, they're movers and shakers, and
Go ahead and I tell you, I
came into Zambia like a whirlwind, wanted their core Bible schools, started building churches, and anything that was better going that. By time 2010, when we arrived, it was when they were 4 different missionaries.
That was one day, nothing, 8 long hours,
probably
nothing
the
but
best
just talking
year
about
of
the
my
core
family's
values.
life. I think
And then the next day, it was about
that year has
a mission
impacted us.
statement. And your mission statement is
But it was also a soft landing because we had so much support, so many other missionaries were there.
This was actually, even though this was just one sentence, it actually was almost harder than the core values. We struggled and we
Within about a year after we left, for different reasons, and none were really negative, all the missionary families left.
The well was hidden in there or something.
And they were left pretty much with the national church, and there was this passing of the torch of leadership. There was about a decade of building up the church and teaching and training, and it was time for the national church, the church to sort of stand up and and if we're honest about what was happening, there was, the leadership that was there was fairly corrupt.
This is who we are.
It was, there was some assets,
people to Christ,
money, that buildings and rentals, and it really was a degree where the leadership was just holding on to the money, and not much ministry was happening with the churches. The people who attended the churches were very frustrated because of the lack of leadership that was happening. And it was frustration for GMI and for everyone, because there were so many great people in Zambia, so many people within the churches that loved the Lord. Yet the leadership seemed to be more interested in finances than they were actually in ministry. It was about a year ago, a year and a half ago. I've been to Zambia almost every summer. I go back to teachers, doing teacher training. For some reason, the Lord put on my heart to go back to Zambia and to do something in leadership training. And, I'm probably a lot like you. I think Americans are pretty analytical, like to think things through. We make decisions based on facts. Very seldom for my own life. I struggle with the fact that I should be led by the Spirit more often than I am. I usually, if it makes sense in my mind, then I usually do it. But for some reason, this didn't make sense why I should go to Africa for last summer. Because the leadership didn't really seem to be interested in missions. And started more with a pressing on my heart.
Grace Church in Zambia came up with a leadership. Now the challenge is that you need to emailed the national leaders, you said it isn't common, so I explained what core values were. I gave examples from businesses and churches and Frontline and Grace Bible College, and I showed them all the examples. And then we got into our group, and I was nervous at this point, because I was like, I don't know, are they really getting it? Do they really know what we're talking about? And they would ask questions like, what's the core values again?
There was a great movement in Zambia where the men I asked to come, and it was time for me to come, but there was a great movement within Zambia where the men I asked to come, and it was time for me to come, but there was a great movement within Zambia.
This is the point, is that we need to know what are the most important core values of Grace Church in Zambia.
That means we need to get this list smaller, and all of them are good. But what really makes up Grace Church in Zambia, and organizing some pictures, I need ministry to start happening. These are the core values that they came in, and to be honest with you, I almost wanted to cry when they came back together and talked about this list. When in Africa, it's all about ownership. Do you own the ministry? And they were arguing. Just wanted you to see emotions got high about many different opportunities. Grace Church, when they came up with these right opportunities all over the world, especially my family in 2009 took my understanding. I think it's a matter of leadership development, training, embracing part of Zambia specifically, evangelism, financial advantage, in Zambia was controlled within Africa. The late 19th churches started with all the marches within know if you know the Moyans, they're visionaries, they're movers and shakers, and go ahead and tell you, came in Zambia, like a worldwide, wanted their Bible schools for the building churches, and let's go with that. By the time 2002, when they arrived, it was, they were, when they were forward discussion, that was one day, nothing new, like 8 long hours, nothing was just talking about the tour guide's life. I think the next day, that year has impacted us. And your mission statement is, but it was also, it's not easy, I'm going to extend this to you all. So many other missionaries were there. This was actually, even though this was just jumping, our new missionary was within our strengths. We struggled, and we did about a year after we left. For different reasons, and none of them were really negative. All the missionary being was left. Was hidden here, or something else, or left pretty much with the national church. And there was this passing of the torch of leadership. There was about a decade of building the church, teaching, training. And it was time for the national church to hold this church to sort of stand up and if we were honest about what was happening together, there was leadership that was there was really corrupt. This is who we are. It was, there was assets, people that tried money, that buildings, and rentals, and it really was a degree where the leadership was just holding on to the money, and not much ministry was happening in the churches. The people was telling were very frustrated because of the lack of leadership that was happening. And it was frustration for Jim Ryan, for everyone, because there were so many great people in Zambia, so many people within the church that were the leadership seemed to be almost just the finances, they were actually in ministry. And about a year ago, I've been in Zambia almost every summer. I go back to teachers, doing teacher training. We've got to have some places that make decisions based on facts, doing salvages for my own life. I struggle with the fact that I should be led by the Spirit more often than I am. So I usually make sense in my mind, and I usually do it. But for some reason, this didn't make sense why I should go to Africa to do this exercise last summer to keep you, because leadership didn't really seem to be interested in mission. This is and started with a pressing in my heart. Grace Church in Zambia came up with leadership now on the challenge that you emailed so leaders say this is like 24 values where I gave examples from businesses and churches and outlined and Grace Bible College, and I showed them how they really got into our groups. And I was nervous at this point because I was like, I don't know, they really getting it? They really know what and then I asked them, and they were asking me, like, can I have these core values again? It's truly out of really I'm sitting back and we're meeting, and then I asked them about it. We need to know what are the most visually core values of Grace Church in Zambia. That means we need to get this list smaller, and all of them are good. But what really makes up Grace Church in Zambia? Some of the pictures. I know ministry start happening. These are the core values that they came in. I'll be honest with you, I almost wanted to cry when they came back together and talked about this list. And when you do it, in Africa, it's all about ownership. Do you own with this? And they were arguing with each other. Just wanted you to see emotions got high. What's the opportunities this church again? They came up with these life opportunities on the board of church. My family in 2011 told me to stay there. I think it's a matter of leadership to high school. Training, embracing partnership with other organizations, evangelism, financial those introduced to me as a within Africa. The church started with lots of organizations and had it go ahead and tell you, one of their advisor schools for the building church better than that. By 2007, when they arrived, she was, they were, that was one day, nothing new, 8 long hours, nothing was just talking about the tour guide's life. Then the next day, that year has impacted us. And your mission statement is, it's not easy. It's so many other missionaries were there. This was even though this is just one sentence. And we don't know what was working on our strength. struggled, and we taken about a year after we left. For different reasons, and none of them were connected. All the Michigan was left. Well, was heading or something else. Left his dad's church, and there was this massive torch of leadership. It was about a decade. Meeting, training, just right this time for the national church to hold this church to sort of stay in the Congress that I wanted to pass together, there was leadership that was there. This is who we are. That set of people that Christ that wanted to reach to Christ. All those are the things that leadership was just allowing them to money. Not much ministry was happening in our churches. The group was telling our attention. I was very frustrated because of the lack of leadership that we had. Told them it was the frustration of the church